Hi there, I'm Matt from Amilia, here to walk you through the evolution of online registration software. By the way, that Venus flytrap, totally real. These days, being connected to literally everything around us through technology is common. Using the magic of the internet, we can control how bright it is in our homes, the temperature in specific rooms, and even the volume of the Bluetooth speaker attached to your record player. I repeat, you can control vinyl volume levels with your phone. We don't really think about the hardware we use to run software anymore, but it's actually a really important factor. This was more evident 50 years ago when you had to deal with giant mainframes. These were, in essence, gigantic computers stored in equally gigantic rooms and were a game changer for things like data processing and resource planning. See that guy smoking? That's his excited face. Don't forget, this was the 1960s after all. Beatlemania and Norman Bates both had people screaming, for different reasons of course. Eventually, forward-thinking individuals started shouting for computers that weren't the size of a warehouse. And eventually, they got their wish. The mini mainframe was introduced in the mid-1960s, and by the dawn of the 1970s, even those were totally outdated and super expensive. People were like, hey, technology should be way smaller, so they made it happen, although I don't think they used ray guns to do so. During this decade, we got the first microcomputer and the first mobile phones, which were easier to use and freed up more time for those Saturday Night Fever reenactments. The 1980s were when things got really interesting. During those 10 years, we saw the fall of the Berlin Wall, Michael Jackson moonwalk without falling, and most important of all, the introduction of personal computing. With a keyboard, mouse, and a relatively inexpensive price point, it was a machine that could, gasp, fit on a desk. They even had their own software apps. This prompted the move from mainframe to client-server architecture in 1985, which opened the world up to a whole new set of possibilities. Making this work wasn't pretty though. Since some programs were installed directly on each machine, either by yourself or by a vendor, maintenance, updates, and regular backups were necessary and, as you can imagine, a logistical nightmare. Let's flash forward now to 1991, the year the internet was born. We all take it for granted now, but back then, it was a new and amazing way to connect with customers and vendors around the world. By the time the technology went mainstream in the mid-1990s, traditional software providers gave their clients web applications where they could access their version of the software and the associated databases. Unfortunately, hardware improvements couldn't keep up with new software builds. Businesses needed more processing power, more storage, and don't even get me started on those update times. I'm still waiting for one to finish. In 2005, another breakthrough happened. Software as a service was coined by John Koenig. The name refers to software that doesn't need to be installed directly on a host machine, such as your personal computer or a server room to work. That way, there's only one version of a given software out there instead of 25 different copies floating around. Developers could then spend more time fixing bugs and building improvements to the platform that could benefit everyone. Now in 2008, Steve Jobs introduced the Apple iPhone, changing the way we read, shop, and communicate every single day. That same year, Amilia was born, changing the way recreation organizations use technology. Why should you use a SaaS platform? Well, because it solves problems left behind by old technology. Think about it. Painful updates, discontinued versions, slow implementation, the list goes on and on and on. Online registration software that isn't a cloud-based online tool just doesn't cut it anymore. With Amilia, you get a SaaS that's always up to date, handles large amounts of traffic with ease, and integrates seamlessly with your website. Requires no hardware maintenance whatsoever. Our users literally turn their frowns upside down, just like that guy. To find out more about Amilia's software and how you can use it to optimize your organization's day-to-day operations, make sure you visit Amilia.com.